Hey guys, welcome back to Banter with Brooke. I'm your host, Brooke Podcast, and this is the 23rd episode. Thank you guys for joining me. This week's episode is going to be all about mental health, which is a topic I am very familiar with. I know this isn't the most lighthearted topic, but I'm going to try and make it happy and good because I am in a very good place mentally now, but I have not always been throughout my life. So the two main things that I struggle with is I have anxiety and OCD. I don't know what depression. I've had periods of being depressed throughout my life, but I don't think I would consider it depression because I know depression's like a chronic thing. But I have had depressed episodes where I've been very not motivated to do anything. I've been like just very sad for like days or weeks at a time. But the main things that I struggle with are anxiety and OCD. And I have been diagnosed with anxiety when I was younger. I saw multiple different therapists. OCD, I have not been like specifically diagnosed with, but I do have a therapist right now, and I talk to her about like, oh, my OCD is like so annoying, and I explain things like that I do that are caused by my OCD, and she doesn't tell me like, no, that's not OCD. So I think I do have it, but let me just start from the beginning. My anxiety growing up was very bad, and I feel so bad for younger me because my anxiety literally started when I was maybe like 3 or 4 years old, and it was very bad from the time I was like 3 or 4 until I was maybe in like second grade, so like 7, 8. It was really bad, and I would cry all the time. I would lock myself in rooms of my house so they couldn't get to me and I wouldn't have to go to school. I would scream, I would cry, I would be in like a full-blown freak out. And I would also tell my mom, I'd make up lies. I'd be like, oh, the teacher said this to me. Oh, this girl is being mean to me. I don't want to go to school. Which literally, I have a memory of my friend who I'm talking about, who I told my mom was like being mean to me. She lives like down the street from me, and my mom like reached out to her mom and like made us have a play date to like get along. And literally it was like fun and fine because she was my friend. Like we had a fun play date. I just was using her as my excuse to not go to school. So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, I didn't know when I got older what it was from, but my mom told me that she thought, or my therapist thought, maybe, I don't remember, that it had to do with every time I would leave the house, I was scared that something was going to happen to her or my grandpa when I was at home. So I was always scared that like my grandpa would like pass away or something, or my mom would when I would leave the house, which I just feel so bad because like, why was little me so worried about that? Like my mom and grandpa are both still here and are both doing just fine. Like, I don't know. And I have this stuffed animal that my mom got me for when she would go to work, because I also didn't want her to leave. Like I just always I needed to be with them no matter what. And she got me and my siblings these stuffed animals that had magnets in the hands, and they could hold hands. Whatever. You guys are used to my chronic yawning at this point. Maybe I should fucking get diagnosed with that because I don't know. For the audio listeners, if anyone does listen to the audio ones, I'm sorry if that annoys you, me constantly yawning, or if it's making you yawn, because I know every time I see people yawn or hear yawn, it makes me have to. So sorry. But she got us all these stuffed animals that had magnets in the hand, and they could hold hands and like hug. I had a white cat. my sister had a gray mouse and my brother had a little brown bear. And I actually want to get those animals tattooed on me, those stuffed animals. But anyway, besides the point, she would give us those and she's like, so when I'm at work, like this can like hug you and be like your little thing. So that I remember was pretty helpful. And also in preschool, my town is very small, and I'm pretty sure my mom said, or maybe this was at day camp, I don't remember, but either preschool or day camp, my cousin worked there, and so she could kind of help calm me down a little bit, and some of the teachers too I really liked. And I remember my mom gave me a flip phone when I was in literally like first grade. And I know you're like, a phone in first grade, that's crazy, but literally I didn't use it at home. The only sole purpose of this phone was I had one contact on it and it was my mom. And so I wouldn't have to go to the office constantly and call my mom if I was like having an anxiety like breakdown. My teacher would let me like go out in the hall and like call my mom. So yeah, that is that. I had a phone from like, yeah, first and second grade. So I could just call my mom, be like, I'm anxious, and my mom would calm me down. Now as I'm getting older, sometimes I still like notice I do that. Like I look to my mom towards like, because when I was little and I'd be like having anxiety and stuff, she'd just tell me like, everything's okay, everything's this, like, or she'd like reassure what I say. But now that I'm older, I'll like ask her something for like reassurance, or like, oh, like, is this okay? Or like, is so and so like gonna be okay? And she'll be like, I don't know, Brooke, I can't tell you. Like, or she'll like, I'm like, Mom, no, you're supposed to tell me that it's gonna be fine. Like, whatever. But I know I'm an adult and that's not reality. But anyway, so yeah, I remember I saw one therapist outside of school, and I saw two like social worker slash therapists in school. I remember the one in school one of them was so nice. She had like white curly hair and her skin was so smooth. I just remember her face was so smooth, and she would like read me stories, and there was all these stuffed animals and stuff. And yeah, so, and then I didn't have therapy in elementary school, like middle school, high school. I started trying to find a therapist again, and I had two that were so bad, and now I have one that I absolutely love. And that's what I always try and tell people with therapy is like, your first therapist isn't gonna always be the one you just instantly connect with, but that doesn't mean like therapy's not for you, because literally therapy is amazing. And I also wanted to talk about what it feels like physically when I have anxiety, like attacks, I guess you could say. Is my heart starts beating really, really fast. I get nauseous, like my stomach hurts. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I sometimes get headaches. Sometimes I get shortness of breath. Sometimes I just start crying and can't stop. And then sometimes it's like all of those things at once. I'll be crying while my heart's beating so fast, while I feel like I'm going to throw up. Like, and it's really bad. My most recent, like, worst outbreak, I guess, of anxiety was a year or two ago, maybe. And I went with my friends to school. Like, I drove with my friend and her mom down to where they go to school and then go to college. And then I flew back by myself. And I was only there for, I think, 2 days. And for some reason, I was so anxious. And I've been places without my mom multiple times. Like, I've gone multiple hours away for multiple nights and stayed. I don't know what it was, but I really was anxious the whole time. I was freaking out. I literally couldn't even eat anything. Like, I was too afraid to like eat because I thought I was going to throw it up. I felt like I always had to cry. I don't know what it was, but it was so terrible. When I got to the airport, I was crying again. Once I was on the plane and I was by myself, I was fine. And I thought like, okay, maybe once I get home, I'll be fine. Literally the next 2-3 days after I got home and I was with my mom, I was in my own home, everything was fine. I was still so anxious and could not calm myself down. I literally had to cry. Like, it was insane. I don't know what was wrong. And I feel so bad for that version of myself. I'm like, girl, it was okay. But yeah, it's literally, I would not wish how anxiety feels on my actual worst enemy. Like, that feeling of just like nausea and panic. And it's like nothing's even wrong. You're just like, it's just an internal feeling that you get. And there is like different triggers, like different things will like trigger it, I guess. And I don't even really know what mine are exactly. And everyone has obviously different ones. But I also wanted to go more in depth about my journey with it. So I don't know if you guys could tell, but this first part is I'm kind of going to talk about anxiety. The next part I'm going to talk about OCD. So yeah, I had anxiety since I was little, and it, like I said, in middle school and late elementary school, my anxiety got a ton better. Like, I thought I had grown out of it. I was like, okay. And I would still have thoughts here and there. And I still do have thoughts here and there that are just like, oh, something bad's going to happen. Or like, especially as a kid too, I would like literally lose sleep. Like, I would not be able to go to sleep at night because I would just be up thinking that something's going to happen to my mom. Something's going to happen to my grandpa. Something's going to happen to me. And one of the things I do still really struggle with is health anxiety. Like, if I have one small headache, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to have a brain aneurysm. Like, or if I have a stomach ache, I throw up when other people like throw up. It doesn't bother me. I can be around it. I used to literally cannot stand it. But going to like parties in high school and stuff and seeing all these drunk people throwing up all around me and stuff, I'm like, and like having to help my friends when they're drunk throwing up, like having to hold their hair back and stuff. Now I'm not afraid of throw up, but throwing up myself can't do it. Like, I hate throwing up. It gives me so much anxiety. I hate it. So I still really have health anxiety. Like, if I feel I have a little stomach ache, I'm like, oh no, I'm scared. Or headaches and stuff like that. I really try and take care of my health because I get scared. But yeah, I didn't really have, and I still had thoughts, like some nights I would stay up in like middle school and stuff and be like, oh, something's going to happen, but it wasn't as bad. Then high school is where I had like my periods of like depression, I guess you could say. Like, I was really not happy a lot of the time. I was having terrible thoughts. I've talked about this in other episodes. I was just very much a people pleaser back then. And so I was just living entirely for everyone else and not myself. And I think that definitely took a toll on my mental health. And then late high school, like senior year maybe, and then after is when my anxiety started to kind of get bad again. Like this time, like no, actually not this time, like November, December, January of 2022 to 2023, like 2022, October, November into January 2023, I was very, very anxious. Like, I was not doing the best mentally. And that has gotten better. I've also taken a lot more care of my health since then. So I think that has made a huge difference. And because physical and mental health go hand in hand. So I think now that I'm like on my weight loss journey and I've been working out, and working out is huge for if you're stressed or depressed, like it really does help your mental health. So yeah, I've been working out. I've been trying to put more better foods into my body. And so my anxiety right now is very, very good. Let me knock on wood because I'm not trying to have it be bad again. Cause like I said, I'm not wishing that on my worst enemy. It's literally terrible, but it's been very good as of recent. But yeah, so my anxiety is pretty good now. And that's kind of been basically my anxiety journey. I still don't know why I was always afraid that something was going to happen to them. Like they're healthy and they're fine. I think it was just like separation anxiety. But I really always do like look for reassurance that like everything's okay. And yeah, now I'm going to talk about OCD. OCD is such a weird thing. Like I can't even believe that it's like a thing. Like literally part of my OCD is, so let me talk about my OCD symptoms that I had in school. First of all, some people might think this is just like organized, which yeah, actually it is. I was very organized, but I'm so sorry, you guys. I don't know what's happening, but so I would always keep my desk, like in like elementary school, we had these desks that would open and you could put stuff in the inside, and I would always keep that so organized. Also, like we had a swing set when we were little in our backyard, and like we had our assigned swings. Like that is my fucking swing. Do not go on it. Same with like Same with like chairs at the dinner table. Like we had assigned seats. We don't anymore, but I really was particular about that kind of stuff. And even now I'm still a very organized person, which that is not really part of OCD. And I know you guys listening are going to be like, that is not OCD, but just wait, I'm just getting started. So yeah, I've always been a very organized person. First of all, let me say the definitions of both. I don't know the like literal like word for word definition, but anxiety is when you feel just panicked. It's when you feel nervous. It's when you feel, I don't know. Everyone knows what anxious means, and anxiety is just kind of like, is it still filming? My thing says having issues communicating. What's going on? Okay, I'm just gonna keep talking and hope that worked. But so yeah, what was I fucking saying? Stupid ass computer. Oh yeah, so everyone knows what being anxious is like if you're anxious for something, but anxiety is just like that times. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm so nervous, like, or they think like being anxious is the same thing as anxiety, and anxiety is usually chronic. Like I always have thoughts in my head, like even though I'm like calm and it's more like under control now, I always constantly am having anxious thoughts in my head no matter what. And then OCD stands for obsessive compulsive disorder. And so you just do things obsessively, and like an example, someone with OCD could have to turn the lights on and off 3 times before they go to bed. Otherwise, their dog will like die or something. Like that's just an example, but like in my head, it's never like an ultimatum. It's never like, oh, if I don't do this, this will happen. But I do have things that I like do constantly, and it's really annoying because I'm like, I just want to be peaceful. Like one thing I do is, okay, so yeah, my OCD symptoms in school. In school, I would literally, first of all, my backpack, everything was always in a certain order. I put all my stuff away in a certain order, and if it wasn't in that order, I would have to re-put it in that order. I would So I'd zip up my backpack and I'd put it down next to my desk. I would check if my backpack was zipped. I'm not even kidding you. Maybe throughout the whole class period, every couple of minutes, I'll look, feel, make sure, and all the zippers were on the same side. And I'd feel and make sure, okay, I would see that they're all zipped. I'd go back to class, see that they're all zipped. And I'm like, girl, you just zipped your backpack 5 minutes ago. It's going to still be zipped, but I have to check always, no matter what. Another example was just like the way I took notes and the way I would write things down in my notebook or in my like agenda, like planner, like very OCD with that. Some OCD symptoms in life are, this one is like the main thing one of the things is like my room. Like my biggest thing is when people go in my room and touch my stuff. Do not touch my stuff. Like my mom, when she is like, sometimes she'll bring down my clothes in my laundry basket, and sometimes she'll put my clothes away, or she'll put my brother and sister's clothes away for them. And for me, I'm like, no, do not even go in my room and touch any of my stuff, because I have a system. My closet's organized a certain way. I need to put my clothes away. And that's something I've always had. I hate when people touch my stuff. Another thing is, we went to Las Vegas, a couple years ago for spring break. Me, my mom, my brother, and sister. And every single place we went, I'm like, do we have everything? Do we have everything? After we would leave every single place, and I'm not exaggerating. And my sister's like, why do you always ask that? And I'm like, because I literally just need to make sure. Like, I freak the fuck out if I lose something, and like, I need to look for it. I just need to know where things are. And that's why I'm very organized, because I do usually know where all my things are. And so yeah, everywhere I go, if I'm leaving a restaurant, if I'm leaving work, everything, I need to look, triple, quadruple check that I have everything. Another thing, when I go into work, I usually bring like my phone, my water bottle, and my purse, and sometimes a jacket. And as I'm walking into work and as I'm leaving work, I'll say out loud repeatedly and look at what I have. I'll go phone, jacket, purse, water. Phone, jacket, keys, water. And I will say that and look over and over and over again. Like, I know that I have my stuff. Like, the first time, if I look, have my phone, have my water, have my purse, have my jacket, done. But no, I do it over and over and over. Also, when I lock my car, when I'm exiting my car, I have to press the lock button a million quadrillion times. Like, and I know it's locked. I heard the beep the first time. I don't know why. I have to press it. One time, going into a restaurant, I was with my friends, and I'm locking my car like a decent amount of times. And this guy turns around. He goes, I forgot what he said. Something along the lines of like, I think it's locked, or like, oh, is it locked yet? Like some like smart ass comment. I'm like, if one of my friends said that, that would have been funny. I'm like, I don't fucking know you. Don't say that to me. But yeah, those are some of the things I can, like, those are like the main. I'm sure there's things that I do that I don't even like realize is like OCD. Another thing is kind of like, I love to be in control, which I actually don't know if that has anything to do with OCD, but like, if I'm going somewhere, I honestly like, sometimes I just don't feel like driving, or if I like don't want to pay for gas, then I'll like have someone else drive. But otherwise, I prefer to drive because I like being the one in control. Or like, this sounds like so like cringe, but if I'm like playing Wii, like I like to be player one, so I can like do it all. I don't know. It's like a weird thing, but those are kind of the two main mental health things that I struggle with. And I know there's so many more. There's like BPD, there's bipolar, there's depression, there's schizophrenia, there's autism, there's so many mental things. And And everyone's different, and it's okay. Like, that's another thing I want to talk about. It is okay to have, like, I don't want anyone to feel like they like have something wrong with them, or like, it's fine. You know how much freaking of the population has stuff going on? Like, it's fine. Like, I actually don't think I know one person who's like totally mentally sane. Like, I feel like there's something, even if it's as small as like ADHD, or they like can't focus, or like something, like no one has zero things wrong. Like, somebody always has something. And that's what makes everyone us and everyone unique. There's not something wrong with you. You're not a burden, or you're not too much to handle for your, like, I feel bad for people who are depressed and feel like they're a burden, because it's like, no, like, you can't help that. Unless, because there is some people who just like want to be sad and like don't do anything to help themselves, which that's different. That does get annoying. But people who are very, very depressed, like, you're not a burden. And especially like, if one of my close friends came to me and told me they were depressed, I would want to do everything in my power to help them not be depressed. Like, I would not be like, oh, you're a burden. Like, that's just a crazy thing. I know everyone's like their own hardest self-critic. So like, I think even in your head that your friends don't think you're a burden, unless they're shitty friends, but you just feel like one because you don't want to put your problems onto somebody else, which is it's a very valid feeling. But I just wanted to say that it is okay to have mental health issues, and you're not a freak. You're not, it's completely normal. And anxiety and OCD have affected my life dramatically. Like, I always wonder, like, when I go around in public and stuff, I'm like, what do people think of? Like, what people without anxiety or stuff, like, is their brain just quiet? Like, they're just walking around thinking like, oh, that's a nice tree. I'm walking around like, what am I going to eat later? Like, I have really bad, like, with food too. It's big. Like, I have a lot of problems with food. Like, I used to have a really bad binging problem, and I don't binge anymore, but I still feel the urge to a lot of the time. And I still have a very toxic relationship with food. I have lost in the last year 51 pounds, I think, and I'm still going. I'm not to my goal yet. And so if I have like a cheat day, or like if it's like a birthday, like a family member's birthday or something, and I eat bad, I like will feel guilty about it for like the next day. And I also have a really bad habit of stepping on the scale every single day. And your weight obviously is going to fluctuate, like water weight and all that stuff. And if the scale goes up like 1 or 2 pounds, like, then it did, like, if the day before it was 2 pounds less than what it was the next day, I'll like feel so guilty. I'm like, oh, why is the scale going up? Like, so that's a really bad habit. And that kind of goes along with mental health. I don't know if what that's like considered, but just a bad relationship with food. I'll just leave it at that broad term. And it's really hard. And also, like, having friends who are like skinnier than me that can just eat whatever they want. But then me, if I did that, I would literally gain like 10 pounds. So yeah, that's another thing. And I've really been trying to be better, and I'm eating healthy. It's not like a constant thing, but just sometimes I do like feel guilty, and I'm constantly thinking about what I'm going to eat. Like, I eat breakfast. I'm like, okay, what time? Cause it's another thing, time too. Like, I try and eat like 3 to 4 hours apart, and I try and only eat 3 meals a day. Do not snack really. Sometimes I will. And then I don't eat after dinner, and I eat dinner around like 5:30, and then I try not to eat anything at night. And so I'll eat breakfast. I'll be like, okay, in a couple hours, I'll like count. That's another thing I do. I count the time, and I'll do it over and over again to see how many hours something is. So say from like 7 to 2, I'll be like 7 to 1, 1 or 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1, 1 to 2. And I'll like do that all the time, and I'll see that it's 7, but I'll do it again. I'll keep seeing how many hours it is, even though I just did. And so I'll do that. I'll count. So say I ate breakfast at 9, I'll be like 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1. And then I'll be waiting until 1, and then I'll eat, and then I'll be like, okay, now I just ate my meal. Like I'm always thinking about what I'm going to eat or what I did eat, or so I need to figure that out as well. But all those things have, like I said, affected my life dramatically. I'm always, like I said, thinking about food, thinking about if I forgot something somewhere, always thinking that something bad could happen. And it's really annoying. Like, I just want my brain to shut the fuck up. Like, literally just be fine for one day. If I could have one day of peace, that would be amazing. That's why I like working out as well, because while you're working out, you're not thinking about anything but working out. That's also why I like reading, which I haven't had time to read in a really long time, but reading too. Now I'm kind of going into what has helped with my anxiety. So working out really, really helps. It gets your mind off of everything. You're just focused on doing that. Even if it's like a light workout, like one of my favorite things is going for walks. I could walk for miles and miles and miles, and just, you can either walk with a friend, or you can put headphones on, listen to your favorite YouTube video, listen to your favorite songs, listen to your favorite podcasts. And that really helps distract you. And being outside in the fresh air has really helped my anxiety. I notice when I'm spending more time outside, I'm less stressed. Reading, because you get into the world of the book and you're not focused on what's happening in your real life. Another thing is hanging out with people. When you isolate, it's also important to be alone with your thoughts sometimes to really get to know yourself and things like that. But when you isolate, it really makes you have so much time with your own thoughts, and then you can spiral and think about a bunch of negative things. So I feel like going out and being in places where there's other people is really helpful, because then you can talk to people and conversate about different things, and it will distract you from your own anxious thoughts. Another thing I like to do is coloring. Anything that like relaxes you. Like if you like to paint, if you like to draw. I've gotten into sewing recently. Watching a good comfort movie or a comfort show or a funny movie that will just get a laugh. Laughing is like the key too. I really like to cook. And like bake and stuff like that. So just like find certain hobbies and certain activities. Just, if you're just sitting there on your phone or sitting there alone, you're just gonna have way more time to have those anxious thoughts. If you're occupying your brain with a task or an activity, that has helped my anxiety a lot. And yeah, OCD is like so weird. Like it's just so annoying. Like everywhere I go, like being like phone, jacket, keys, water, phone, jacket, keys, water. Like, girl, you're a fucking loon. No, you're not. And if you do that too, you're not, because you're not alone. I do it too. And my advice that I have for this episode is to get help. If you are dealing with things that don't like need help, whatever, but I could not recommend therapy enough, or even friends, like confiding in someone, even if you help yourself, just try to get better, and it will get better. And also another thing I wanted to do is, bad things, like bad times always come and go. Like that's not really advice. My advice is to help yourself, get help, just do things for yourself that will help you get better, no matter if it's depression, anxiety, bipolar, if you're bipolar and you think you need to go on medication and it will help, do those steps and do what you need to do. But the little piece of motivation, I guess, is the bad things always come and go. Like, if you are having, like, when I was having terrible anxiety, when I told you I went with my friends to where they go to college and stuff, I was so anxious, like really, really anxious. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Why can't I calm myself down? And look, I'm here now and I'm doing great and I'm fine. Like, if you are in a rough patch, a rough period in your life, it is always temporary and it will always change and get better no matter, and it'll get bad again, and that's okay. Deal with that when it comes around, and it's fine. That is a part of life, having the ups and downs. And if you don't have the downs, the ups wouldn't be as good, because it would just be like, if everything was always good all the time, it would be, you wouldn't know any better. So I think having the bad times really helps show you how good the good times are. And I've said this quote before, but a bad day is not a bad life. And it's fine if you are in a bad space, but just try and get yourself out of it and know that it's temporary and it will not last forever. I can promise you that. And also allow yourself to get better as well, because there are some people who are comfortable in the sadness and they just don't do anything to get out of it. But like, life is way more better when you don't have that victim mentality, like, oh, poor me. Like, no, you are a strong, badass individual. I don't know if you're a man or a woman watching this, or they, them. I don't discriminate. And yeah, like, you are just a badass individual and you can get better and you can do what you need to do. Like, don't be like, oh, poor me, I'm so depressed. Like, which it is poor, like, it is sad. Like, it is so unfortunate when you have mental health issues, but you can better them. You can figure yourself out. You can fix it, even if it's temporarily, because it'll come back again. But I'm trying to think if I had anything else I wanted to add to this. I don't know. I just, ever since I decided to do a podcast, I really wanted to do a mental health episode, because, like I said, anxiety and OCD have really affected my life and my everyday tasks and my everyday thoughts. They're always there. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about it, I guess, to say that you guys aren't alone in whatever mental health things you're going through. I'm here for you. My socials are in the description. My Instagram, my Spotify, my TikTok. If you want to follow those. Also, if you DM my podcast account on Instagram, like, I will answer. Like, I love giving advice and I love talking about mental health. That's why I always have a little, I have to see. That's why I always have the little, like, advice segments at the end, because I love to help people and give advice. And my DMs are always open. I don't want you guys to ever think you're alone or you're anything. I'll put, like, the suicide hotline number in the description, because I think that's important for people to know if you don't know the number. And just reach out to family, reach out to friends. If you don't feel like you can reach out to me. Also, therapists too. It's so helpful having someone that doesn't know you or anyone in your personal life, like, ranting to them, because they're not going to have, like, a biased opinion. They're just going to be straight up honest with you and be like, this is how it is. So yeah, I really do think that everyone should try therapy and just get help. If you don't have money for a therapist, like I said, my DMs are always open. I will always listen and I will respond, because my whole life, I feel like I have great friends, but sometimes in high school, like, the people that I wanted to listen to me so bad just didn't. So I understand what it's like not having someone that you want to talk to seem like they care what you have to say. So you can always DM my Instagram and I will for sure respond. And yeah, this episode is pretty short, so I'm sorry about that. But on a lighter note, if you didn't watch my last video with my sister, we were trying crumble cookie. You should definitely go watch that and let me know what you guys think about my first video that's not a podcast. There's going to be many more non-podcast videos to come. And if you also want to watch my podcast episode, the video before the crumble one with my friend Tyler, that's a super funny, good episode. And I hope this episode helped you guys. I hope it made you feel not so alone. Also, like, a lot of social media, like content creators and stuff, like, don't talk about the bad really. And I feel like it's important to highlight, like, because everyone puts on social media what they want to put on social media, and they don't always show the negative, which is fine. Honestly, that's usually why people go to social media, to have a break from the negative stuff and to look at funny things and things that they like, which that is why I try and post good content as well. But I also want to be real with you guys and tell you that I'm not perfect and I do struggle with anxiety and OCD daily, and it is a thing that's always on my mind. And yeah, and that is okay, and we are all normal. It is fine to have issues, and you're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're awesome. You are loved. You're beautiful. Say all your affirmations and just do things that you like to do. Do different hobbies, different activities to get your brain distracted. Get help, and remember that everything's always temporary and things will get better for you. I can promise you that. Thank you so much for watching. Again, sorry this episode's a little short. I just really wanted to do a mental health episode, and I am so grateful to say that I am doing good right now with my anxiety. But my OCD, like, still every day I go to work, I make sure I have everything always, and I say that over and over: phone, jacket, keys, purse, phone, jacket, water, whatever. But let me shut the fuck up and do this outro. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. Like I said, I'll put the hotline number in the description. You are never alone, and you can always turn to someone. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. Follow all my socials in the description. Subscribe, hit the like button, give me a comment. You can comment any podcast suggestions or video suggestions, and I will see you guys next Saturday for sure. And I'll see you again a random day of the week when I upload a not podcast video. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys next Saturday. Bye.